This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 163 with Ted Thomas.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast empowering and inspiring people to discover how to generate their own income and manage, grow, and protect their own wealth in the new economy. Now, here is your host, MC Laubscher.
Hi there, MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today. In today's show, we're going to look at how to create income streams from tax lien certificates. My guest in this episode is Ted Thomas. Ted is America's tax lien certificate, investing, and tax deed authority and an international speaker who has dedicated himself to finding and teaching the best investment strategies that can create wealth with minimum risk and easy to learn, that can help everyone, including senior citizens and young people, and that's why he chose tax lien certificate and tax deed investing, because it is predictable, certain, and secure. Ted has developed an in-depth training program that'll show you step-by-step how to profit from tax lien certificates and tax deeds. Please share your feedback and thoughts with me on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja, one word, all capitalized, to 44222. That's 2 4s and 3 2s. You can support the show by becoming a patron on Patreon for $10 a month. And when you become a patron, you get access to our private Facebook page and a Cashflow Ninja t-shirt. You can become a patron by visiting cashflowninja.com/support. Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Are you interested in real estate investing and don't know where to start or how to get the results you want? For valuable information to get you started, visit JoinOps Properties at joinopsproperties.com. If you're not earning at least 8% on your cash, you do not want to miss the private lending presentation for non-accredited investors done by Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott. Discover how to create an income stream from real estate without the management headaches. You can access the presentation at cashflowninja.com/private lending. Spartan Invest have a proven plan and system helping investors creating passive income and wealth through turnkey real estate ownership in the exciting market of Birmingham, Alabama. Find out why Birmingham has got it going on, why it's a steal right now, why it's a millennial hangout, a hidden gem, and one of the most exciting investment opportunities you have never heard of. You can download your free report, 5 Big Reasons to Invest in the Magical City of Birmingham, Alabama, at cashflowninja.com/Spartan. I've spoken about the most powerful system on the planet on the show, the banking system, and my firm Valhalla Wealth Financial helps people reclaim the banking function within their own lives through leveraging the premium tools and strategies of the wealthy. If you're interested in reclaiming the banking function within your own life and the infinite banking concept, you can access a free webinar presentation at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. Ted, welcome to the show.
Well, glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Can you please share a little bit about your background and your journey with my listeners?
Well, sure. I started out, my first career was as an airline pilot, and I flew for Aloha Airlines in Honolulu, Hawaii. And then from there, when I found out there was a lot of money to be made in business, well, I retired from the airlines. I just resigned, and I got into business, and I got in the real estate business, and that was very good for a number of years. But then I found out the real estate business kind of went up and down a lot. So then I got into a business that was safe and secure, and I did that because I found out about tax lien certificates and tax deeds. And as we get into it, I'll tell you more about those. But they're an investment vehicle that's really safe, because what you can do is you invest with the government and you get a check back from the government. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. So that's my background. I've been doing the same thing for more than 20 years now in this particular part of the business. I don't want to retire. I could have done that a long time ago. I like working, but it's a challenge every day, but that's what keeps us going.
You touched on tax lien certificates and tax deeds. Now, for my listeners out there that have never heard of them,
Okay.
what are they? Who issues them, and why do they occur?
Okay, well, first of all, every property in the United States, now we're talking about the states, but people from outside the states can invest here, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But however, every property in the United States has a tax on it, and that's called a property tax. Now, it's not an income tax, it's not a value-added tax, it's a property tax. It's like a wealth tax, and it's usually about 1% of the value of the property. Unfortunately, there's always going to be some people that have some problems in their life, and they don't pay their taxes. Now, because some people say, oh, you don't have to pay taxes. Well, don't believe that. You have to pay taxes. All right, so if they don't pay the taxes, then the local government, this is a local government thing, the local government has a problem. So what they do in about half of the states, they issue a tax lien certificate. And that simply means that that person didn't pay their tax, but if you would like to go in and pay, or I would like to go in and pay, we can go in and pay those taxes. And when we go in and pay the tax, you say, oh, I don't want to pay someone. But you do want to pay someone's taxes, because what happens is they then give you a right in the property. So they give you a piece of paper that says you own the tax lien on this property. All right, now those tax lien certificates are very popular with mostly with investors that are 40 plus. Now, young people do buy them, but mostly 40 plus that are looking for security. So when you buy that certificate, you can't give money to Ted Thomas. There's no way. You give your money directly to the government. But here's the part everyone likes about tax certificate. Some states pay 16% on a certificate. Others will pay 18. Others will pay 24. You can earn all the way up to 36% interest on a tax lien certificate. Just depends upon which state you buy it in. Now, the beauty of these certificates is only two things can happen with the certificate. One, the people come in and pay their taxes, so you get all your money back plus 16, 18, 24. You get the interest. All right. But if they don't come in and pay, then you end up with the property. So it's a nice, safe investment. All right. Now, most people don't know about it, but everything I talk about is 200 years old. 200 years old. Not quite as old as me, but 200 years old. So you kind of get that. So that's what a tax certificate is. Now, the other half of the states, they don't sell tax certificates. They're not so benevolent. Now, if a state sells a tax lien certificate, they're really giving the person a second chance. But the states that don't sell those, and about half of them don't sell them, they actually, if you don't pay your taxes, they do what they call, they confiscate, they seize the property, and then the state and the county actually that does it doesn't really want the property, so they resell it back into the marketplace, but they don't sell it for a list price or a comparable price. They sell it for a starting bid of just back taxes. Now, we're not on video, but I could show you on video of auction brochures. There's thousands. There's 100 million properties in the United States, and about 2 or 3% go into default every year. 2 or 3% is 2 or 3 million properties going. So it's a big business, a big business.
That is quite amazing.
Yes.
It's a very, very big business. Now, you mentioned some of the return on this. So right. the first option is you get paid 16%, 18%, you put in 24%. Right. Is this annualized, and how is this paid out?
Well, it's annualized rate of return in many of the states, but some states have a penalty return. I'll give you an example of that. If you bought a certificate in Texas, the certificate can only stay outstanding for 180 days. And any day that people come in and pay their tax, they have to give you back all your investment plus 25%. So if you bought a certificate today and they paid it 25 days from now, they would have to give you back all of your money plus a 25% return. Now, we call that, I don't want to get too complicated here, we call that a penalty state. So that's a penalty there rather than an interest rate. But most of the states will sell a certificate that has an annualized rate of return. So 18% obviously is 1.5% a month. But, that's pretty darn good, 1.5% a month in this market. For example, in Iowa, all certificates pay 24%. So that means you make 2% a month. Now, think about that, 2% a month. So for every month that thing is outstanding, they don't pay their tax, they got to give you back. They always have to give you back all of your money plus the 2%. Now, if they don't pay you, you get the property. It's as simple as that.
Now, let's talk about that, about taking the property, the second option. So talk us a little bit through that process.
So all property is taxed at the local level. So it's called a property tax local level. So if you're in New Jersey or New York, or you happen to be in Miami or LA, it doesn't matter where it is. Okay, all property is taxed at the local level. Now, let's use Los Angeles just for an example. Now, in Los Angeles, if those people don't pay their tax, the government will send them notice after notice after notice. Here in the States, we call that due process of law. Due process of law. All right, now, if they don't collect that money, and you don't pay the tax, the government there in Los Angeles, the county, will seize. They will take the property, they'll confiscate the property, and then they'll wipe out the mortgage at that point in time. So there'll be no mortgage on the property. They wipe it out. It's an act of law. And then what they do is they put the property back up for auction, and they put it up for auction for just the back taxes. So the first bid is just the back taxes. Now, it could go higher than that, of course, but many people buy properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. And I do that myself. I'm in the business of doing it myself. But anybody can do this. The only qualification you need is cash at the auction. That's the only qualification.
You said wipe out the mortgage.
Right.
So not to get too technical, but what is the relationship then between the mortgage company and the government? I mean, how is the mortgage company made whole in that aspect?
Well, the mortgage company has a responsibility, is what they're really doing. The government's putting the responsibility on the mortgage company. If you don't pay it, then the mortgage company better pay the tax or they'll lose their position. So the law in all states, all counties in the United States is if the government confiscates the property, now they're giving notice to all the homeowners, all the people that are on title, they give them notice. Now, when I say give them the notice, they might get 6, they might get 10 notices that are really registered letters. They're delivered, they have to be signed for and everything. They give lots of notice. So they're not trying to hurt anybody. All they want is the tax. But people ignore those notices, and unfortunately banks in many cases aren't run as well as they should be, and the notice comes into the bank and they just put it in the drawer and don't do anything. But what happens is the mortgage is wiped out, and that means it's extinguished from the property. And that's the law in every county, every state in the United States.
That is quite remarkable.
Yeah,
so the government technically really has the first position. They're truly the owner of every single home.
Exactly. And that's exactly why you want to buy tax lien certificates to start with, because that tax lien certificate is the first position lien on real estate. So when we were teaching a class on this now, we would be teaching you, buy that certificate because you're ahead of the mortgage. And if you buy that certificate and those people don't pay, you're going to take over that property, and you could wipe out the mortgage. It happens every day in America, every day.
It is quite remarkable and something new that I'm learning right now.
Yes.
Now, Ted, let's talk about, you mentioned tax deeds as well. What's the difference between tax lien certificates and tax deeds?
Good. That's very good. Well, that's a question that comes up all the time. Now, a tax lien certificate just gives you a position on the property. In other words, you buy the certificate, so that makes it safe and secure because you gave your money to the government. You now own the first lien on that property. The property can't be sold. It can't be mortgaged. Nothing can happen until you're paid. But you do not own the property. You just have a lien on that property. All right, so those people are given anywhere from 1 year to 3 years to pay that lien. If they don't pay it, you will get the property. But I can tell you from my experience in 25 years, 97, 98% of these certificates will pay you back all of your money. I said all of your money plus the high interest rate that you get.
Very, very interesting. So tax lien certificates, first position,
right,
and then the analyzed rate. Now, this is very, very interesting.
Yes.
Now, is this on all types of properties, commercial, multifamily units?
Well, that's an interesting question because people don't think this will happen on commercial. This happens on commercial, happens on ranches, happens on farms. It happens on regular homes. It happens on wherever there's a piece of property in the United States, it's taxable. And so every one of them has, see, when you buy a property, you actually buy a number. You don't actually buy a street. We're all used to street addresses, but you actually buy a number, and the number is at the county. And it's just like some people call it a social number, or a social security number. Every property has one of those. So you're actually buying that number. And so that makes it safe and secure for you because you know exactly what you're getting because it's always listed. And so there's thousands of these taking place. A place like Los Angeles, like I just mentioned, annually, they will sell at their auction. They do 2 a year. They'll sell 1,500 properties at an auction, and that's one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. It happens in every county.
Yeah, and there's so many questions going through my mind right now. The first one is, so you've mentioned a couple of states that are desirable for this. And I can already see, not to get too ahead of myself, but in some states, it's great for the income of the tax lien certificates, like you've mentioned California.
Right.
That's a great income source. But I don't know if I necessarily want to own property there. So it's different strategies, right?
The tax lien certificate, this is the kind of thing you want your mom to buy and your grandmother to buy because they're going to buy that certificate. And they got like a 97% assurance that they're going to get all their money back plus an interest rate. So that very, very few of these properties are going to go to auction. But total in the whole country, it's millions. But, this is a big country. So that's a very conservative investment, a tax certificate. Now, the entrepreneurial people, they don't want to get 18%. They want to buy a property for 25 cents on the dollar, and then they want to either fix it up or flip it or do something with it, or they just want to resell it. Well, if you can buy a $100,000 property, which is not unusual, and buy it for 25 or 30 cents on the dollar, you want to do that all day long. And so those auctions, what most people don't realize, when I tell you this number, you're going to be shocked. Most people, they've heard of foreclosures, they've heard of real estate, they've heard of all these different things. There's 5,000 tax auctions every year in the United States. 5,000. That's 100 a week.
Wow.
We have databases on every one of these where we can give people lists of all this stuff. We track the different auctions. It's not unusual for us to be able to tell someone next month. I can tell you in Sullivan County, New York. That's 100 miles west of New York City. 100 miles west of New York City. Their beautiful colonial homes will be coming up for auction, and they'll have over 100. Now I'm going to that's an understatement. They'll have over 300. I track that auction every year for 5 years. I've never seen less than 300. And that's only 100 miles from New York City. So it's everywhere. It's not, you want to go to Massachusetts and New Jersey, you want to go to Kentucky, it doesn't matter where, there's tax auctions taking place. It's just, you're never going to know about it unless you come on a podcast like we're doing right now. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you the secret. I'll give you the inside secret right now. An auction is only advertised in that county. So if you happen to be in Middlesex County, Massachusetts, or Bergen County in New Jersey, wherever you are, you're only going to know about that auction. But there's 3,000 county auctions every single year, and there's another 1,400 municipalities that also have auctions. It's a big business, but the people that do it won't tell you about it. They just keep quiet because they want to go there and just them and their buddies. But this has been happening for 200 years. I'm not telling you anything that isn't 200 years old.
Right. And that leads to my next question about the competitiveness in the space. And you've answered it partially, but can you talk a little bit about the competitiveness in this market?
Yes. So let's use New York and Miami as the example. New York City and Miami. So New York City, you got 18 million people. In Miami, they will have, now it's called Dade County. Broward County is right above it, but Dade County, all right, now Dade County will have 60 to 70 tax liens issued every May. Now, we're in May right now when we're talking. In the state of Florida, there'll be 1 million certificates issued in the month of May. 1 million in the month of May. All right, so people from New York City will jump on a jet, and they'll fly down to Miami and get in there and start bidding. So when they bid and buy those certificates, the interest rate doesn't stay at 18%. It starts coming down. Some people will want to get them at 7%. Some people 8%. So they'll bid the certificates down. They go there and buy as many as they want. I teach my clients, well, don't go to Miami because everybody in New York went there. Go in the middle part of Florida, or go over to Tampa. Tampa will have 40,000 certificates this month. Orlando will have 25,000. You're kind of getting the idea. So you just have to get off your rusty dusty and you can go to the auction. Now, we teach people how to do this online. The beauty of this is I teach this in Bangkok. I teach it in Australia. I teach it in all the provinces, Canada. We teach it in the UK. They can buy online. We can teach them how to do it online. Now, I can't do that in a podcast because it's a little more complex than that because you have to understand how to go through the records. But you can learn this as a business that you can sit on your rusty dusty and do it.
Just to recap a little bit there too, that it's not only just state focused, it's also county and municipality.
Right.
And, to your point, if everybody's running to Dade County, for instance, there's 50 other states. And you mentioned the amount of counties and municipalities there.
Right.
So, no, that is very, very interesting. Now, Ted, let's talk about the risk management. You said it's a very safe, secure investment.
Right.
Obviously, there's pros and cons and everything. I just want to give my listeners kind of like the full picture. What are some of the things that you have to look out for and watch when you do invest in these tax lien certificates?
Well, this is like every business. You've got to get educated a little bit. So let me give you an example. An example would be you want to find out what the property really is that you're investing in. So you can do that by researching the county records. Now, it sounds like it's complicated, but it's very simple, okay? So you don't want to buy properties that are underwater. I don't mean financially underwater. I mean physically underwater. You don't want to do that. You don't want to buy places where they've had industry working because maybe there's toxic waste, things like that. So you do have to do some due diligence. It's not a matter of walking over to your computer, punching in a few numbers and buying. You need to get a certain amount of education. You can do that online. You can do that offline. You can do it physically we actually take people to auctions. It's not unusual for people to go with us. We hold their hand, show them how to bid right at the auction, and they buy, and then they resell it. So that's not, but every investment, and if anybody says an investment doesn't have risk, they're crazy. There's got to be some risk. So your risk is that you bought you bought a property. Let's say you bought a property in California, but you're going to have to sell it. Now, if you happen to live in London, England, you better think about hiring a broker to get that job done. So, I mean, there's going to be some work involved. Otherwise, the county would just do it themselves. So the risk is the normal real estate risks are there, except what you've done is you bought a property very close to, maybe even better than a wholesale price. And people who get in the foreclosure business, they're happy to get a property for 50 cents on the dollar. We don't even want to get near 50 cents. We want to buy them for 20 cents, 30 cents, and whatever on the dollar. We traditionally buy real estate that's vacant residential lots. In other words, it's got a nice house next door, and we'll buy those for 10 cents on the dollar all day long at hundreds of auctions across the country.
You're listening to Ted Thomas on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you having a hard time finding great investment properties? Unfortunately, the best deals are rarely found locally. Successful investing begins with the right properties in the right markets. Norada Real Estate provides everything you need to invest in the best deals across the U.S. Our simple, proven system will help you create real wealth and passive monthly cash flow. Get your free copy of the ultimate guide to passive real estate investing at noradarealestate.com/guide. That's NORADA realestate.com/guide.
You're listening to Ted Thomas on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. That's very important point that you just brought up there, because this is a paper asset. It's a tax lien certificate, so it is a derivative of the home and the property itself.
Right.
And just like from a financial standpoint, I always look at institutional risk, like where is the money or the derivative of the asset itself. You still have to do your due diligence, as Ted just said here, and do your homework and realize what is this certificate a derivative of.
Yes. The beauty of everything today is that you can learn online. Like we have coaches that have worked for us for 10 and 12 years, and we can teach the whole thing with videos online. They can watch video and learn how to do it. It's not like you have to stop everything you're doing and go to a college campus and spend 14 weeks. We can do the 14 weeks online, just like we're doing now with audio, except now we put audio and video together. So as you know, the best way to learn is video, because you can see it, you can hear it, and you can repeat it. So it's a beautiful way to do business. It's an alternative investment. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think it's for that entrepreneurial sense that said, gee, I'd like to buy this. What if I painted and cleaned it a little bit? What if I just wholesaled it? And you can start small. You can buy tax lien certificates for $100. $100. I mean, it's just a little one. You're not going to make very much money if it makes 16%, but you can get started there and learn how to do it online. We have people to start, and they just make their first year. They say, I think I'll buy $3,000 or $4,000 worth of these and see if they pay off. And then when they pay off, they say, oh my God, I can do this again. And they do it online, and they do it from all over the world. Doesn't matter where they are in the world.
Yeah, and that tied into my next question. If someone's listening to this and thinking, how much money do I need to start? But you answered that. The other thing is, a very key thing that you just pointed out is, you can start small and build this up, get your feet wet,
yes.
Gain experience, educate yourself more before you grow and grow that. Some of your students did. What are the amount of hours that they put in per week? Obviously, I'm assuming there are guys that are diving in and doing this as many hours as they can once they become successful.
Right. Well,
your average student, how many hours are they looking at?
Oh, this is not one that you're going to put a lot of time, because the auctions are all scheduled. So let's say we had a scheduled auction for the 25th of this month. You could then petition the county to send you the auction list. They would send it. Then you could start your research. So you could casually work on it at night at home, just using your computer to research it. Then you could send someone to go look at the property if you wanted. You could hire someone like a broker or a paralegal or someone to take pictures of it to make sure. Then you could look at the county pictures of it. And so if you put 30 or 40 hours in a month, that would be a lot. Now, I have people that make six-figure incomes. I don't want to turn this into an infomercial, but I have people that are in Canada, and we teach them how to buy in the States, but we show them start out very conservatively with like a residential lot that might have a value of, say, $40,000. Try to get it for 5 or 7 or 10. And that way, you know, you can sell it quickly for 20. So it was worth 40. You paid 10, sell it for 20, do all that online. And then once they've done that once, then they've kind of got a system. Then they can do it again and again. Now, we're doing it all the time. So we can show them where the different, we have databases that'll show them where all the auctions are. You can look at online. You can look at every property. Now, I'm not talking about Zillow mapping now. Zillow is okay. I'm not talking about Google Maps. There is what's called GIS mapping system that the government has. That's a satellite aloft. And you can bring the satellite with your computer. You can bring the satellite right down to 5,000 feet. And you can tell whether there's a geranium on the front porch. That's how accurate you can look at things today. And so all of that can be done from your computer. So that's an amazing new way. But let's take the person that doesn't like to use a computer. They can just go down to the auctions in all of their communities. They can go and watch. Now, what's better than watching? You're not going to take any risk watching an auction. So you get the idea. You can do either one.
That is the great thing about this. You can educate yourself, look and see if this is something for you. And then, as you mentioned, take a look. Right. Go online, look at the auction, see how this thing plays out, and start small on the side and grow a nice a passive income, as passive as it can be, for an asset class that is backed by an asset. And remember always to do your due diligence on the asset that it is backed at. Have you seen some of your students actually take a control of multifamily buildings, commercial buildings, and so forth as well?
Yes. That's rare, however, because what happens with most of the commercial, but it does happen now, but with the commercial, what will happen is the brokers will get wind of it, and there's quite a bit of markup in the properties getting ready to go to tax auction. So they'll try to move in and buy it before the auction. That's a little bit more sophisticated. So we spent most of our time teaching people to buy single-family homes. Now, don't think of single-family homes as just being in Topeka, Kansas. Think of them as being in New Jersey, where they cost $800,000. Think of them being in California, $800,000. We have people picking those properties up for 20 cents on the dollar. Now, you've got a lot of margin there to work with. Now, we don't tell the people that spend a lot of time fix-up. That's not our specialty. We tell them, wholesale that property, make your profit by selling it to someone that does want to do that. But the margin is so high on some of these high-end properties, and there's so many auctions. The market like Seattle right now, Seattle, they don't have to believe me. They can call Seattle and find this out. Seattle market has gone up, round numbers, about 20% a year for the last 24 months. And so we have people buying residential lots for $20,000, and then suddenly they're worth $30,000 and $40,000 just during the selling period. And we have, that's not unusual. See, so what you're doing is you're basically buying wholesale to keep your risk down low, and you're buying directly from the government. Now, they can't buy any of this stuff from me. I'm an educator and a teacher. I just teach people how to do it. So they can't give me any of their money. We don't take money. We're just an educational firm.
No, fantastic. And you guys do put out really great information and educational resources. And in preparing for today, I went through a couple of the videos on your website. There's an opt-in page, and it's really educational, the 4 or 5 videos, just to see if this is a good fit for yourself, and you have the personality or the investor DNA that this is something that you want to look further into. Now, Ted, one habit I've observed from wealthy and successful people is that they're always studying new subjects and learning new skill sets. What are you currently studying, and what skill sets are you currently learning?
Okay, well, the market's always changing, so I like to change with it. And the real estate market is a wonderful place, and there's so many different facets of it, so I don't stop doing that. But one book I've got a lot out of is a guy I sat in a mastermind with for many years, and he's a real intellectual guy. He wrote a book called 80-20 Sales and Marketing, and this 80-20 book, it was written by Perry Marshall, okay? And I recommend that to anybody. It's your whole life is revolving around 80-20, and it's a really interesting concept because 80% of what you do only brings you 20% of your revenue. So you need to reverse that and get 20% of what you're doing to bring you the 80% of revenue. So it's really absolutely amazing, that book. So that's one I really enjoyed. One I'm going through now is a book called Persuasion, and that's always good. Now, I don't use that just to sell, but it helps you in communications with people. It's written by Robert Cialdini, and over the years, I've spoke on the same platform with people like Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki and Robert Cialdini. He's just a terrific guy. He's a professor at Arizona State. Another book that I just, I really recommend this to anybody that is an entrepreneur. And this book is titled The Science of Selling, and it's by a guy by the name of David Hoffeld, Hoffeld. So those are my most recent ones. I'm a big reader. My assistant would tell you, oh, my God, he ordered 3 more books. Oh, my God. And so I'm always into education. And like I said, I started out as a pilot. And can you imagine that? Here I am doing tax liens and deeds and teaching people how to do it. And the market's changed. There have been big shifts in the market. I won't say this bragging, but I'll give you a little background. We used to buy houses for $500. Then it went to $1,000. Then it went to 10 cents on the dollar. Now it's at about 20 cents on the dollar. So as the markets get more competitive and people learn, then, of course, there's competition. And so you have to learn how to adapt to that competition. So everybody used to buy houses. So I said, well, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing. So I try to buy residential lots when I can. Now, it doesn't mean I don't buy houses, but I'll buy a residential lot because nobody knows how to bid on those. And then the next big rage will be rural land. And so I have 2 coaches that work for me. They specialize in rural land. Now, the average guy that's listening to this is probably never going to go out and buy rural land unless he's in Kansas or Iowa or some big farm belt place, because they don't know anything about it, and neither do I. But I got 2 guys who are working for me to help me. So you get the idea. So you always got to be educating and adapting. And the only thing that we don't want growing is our stomach, but your brain has got to grow a lot. It just keep growing.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that because, like Wayne Gretzky's quote was, what made him such a good player is he wasn't going towards the puck. He was going where the puck was going to go.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Try and stay ahead of trends and look and see what's happening out there to try and get ahead of it. Staying on looking ahead and just looking at what's going on right now. What are some of your thoughts of our economic cycle right now, where we are at, and also some of our market cycles, like our real estate market?
Well, okay, I can tell you a lot about cycles because when I finished, I'll give you the whole cycle. And then for people that are brand new to it, they won't like hearing this, but they will like hearing it. So I left the airline industry. That was a good thing to do. Because the airlines were restricted in the sense that you did the same thing every day. But it was a real challenging thing to learn how to fly those airplanes and do all the things. So you learn to use your brain. So when I got out because I could see there was lots of money to be made in business. And so I got into the real estate business. It'll only take me a minute to tell you this. Before you know it, I was, with the other investors, I was buying apartment properties. Okay. Now those apartment properties were in California, Arizona, and Nevada. That company grew from 0 to 200 million in less than 10 years. So it was absolutely fantastic. We grew and grew and grew. But then the cycle changed. And the cycle changed where there was no more money and the government tightened everything up. Well, that business completely crashed. Now, here it was 200 million. I owned 27% of it. And when the market crashed, we lost everything. So we had to start over again. So I said, I'm going to get in a business that doesn't have a lot of risk. That's how I got in tax liens and deeds. All right. Now this business, I've watched this business completely change, going through a cycle again, because shortly after that cycle went through its full cycle, the real estate business crashed. Everybody knows about 2008, 2009, and so on. And so we had massive foreclosure. Well, I was in the tax lien and deed business, so I wasn't affected by it at all. Now, right now, we're at the bottom of the cycle. We're going back up again, and people need to watch that because the money will get very easy. And when it gets very easy, and it's still easy right now, too many people will get in the marketplace, and you need to pay attention to that. So the only way I figured out, now I'm not even though I'm an educated guy, I'm not a genius at this, but I can tell people, be cautious. Just move step by step by step. You're probably not going to do what those 26-year-old kids are doing and be a billionaire next week because it's going on the stock exchange. But if you get in real estate, it's really a place to be, but just be cautious. Just go slow and not hurry into it. So you don't see me now, but If you saw me on the platform, you'd see me in a black suit and an okay tie, because I'm a conservative investor. Stay conservative until when you're going to branch out, say, I'm testing the market, and keep testing and testing. You'll still be testing when you're 75, but you won't lose your fortune. And that's important. At least it is to me.
No, absolutely. Now, Ted, a core message in our show is to leave our families, communities, and the world better than we found it by passing down a mindset, values, and principles to future generations, not just money. So if you cannot pass on any money to future generations, and we're only allowed to pass on 3 principles to them to build wealth and achieve happiness and success, what would they be?
All right, let me use an example, and not myself, but somebody else. So I taught a woman 10 years ago to buy tax defaulted properties. Now, here's the beauty of what she was able to do. Now, women are much more nurturing than men. And so if I'm telling the story that I'm telling you now in front of an audience, the audience, I show a picture on a screen, and they all will applaud. And you'll applaud what she did too. And what she did is she started making money, and now she had a why to make the money. So that woman today, 10 years later, she still does it. 10 years later, she feeds 44 people a week in the United States. But in Africa, she feeds 4,400 people a week. And that's what she did with the money. So to me, to be able to educate someone and then they could carry it to the next step, that was the biggest reward I ever could have had. Can you imagine? She's feeding 4,400 people in a foreign country. I think that's pretty amazing. And if people can do that and pass something on that they have, why not? You can't take it with you, that's for sure.
Right. No, that's a fantastic story. And it just goes to show you about empowering someone else and the difference that they go out and make in the world. And she's definitely going to pass on what she knows and her knowledge to other people to try and empowering them as well. So it's just paying it forward. And it's this growing community that is very, very exciting to see in the world that we have, of people making a difference, sharing what they know, sharing their successes, their failures, and learning from one another. So I have a ton of mentors online, and that has been a fantastic thing for me personally, just to see and learn from others that are sharing and educating, such as yourself. Ted, how can my audience learn more about you, your education company, and stay informed of all of the projects that you're involved with?
Well, it's easy to get started with us. We're a full-service firm when it comes to teaching people. We have a guide every single day to help them. If they become a client, there's someone to help them every day. We have coaching to help them with that. But if they want to start out with the basics, I'm Ted Thomas, but they can go to tedthomas.com. There's 4 free videos there. At the end of those videos, there's course materials they can buy. They're very inexpensive. They're not a lot. We do have courses that are more expensive that when people want to get into coaching programs or they want someone to take them to an auction. We do everything that involved with tax liens and tax deeds, and we do it in every state, and we have people that are doing it in every state, and we have there's deals happening every day. So we share those in newsletters, and we share those with seminars at least 4 times a year. So all I have to do is go to tedthomas.com. Doesn't cost them anything, and they can watch some videos there. If that's what they like to do, it's very inexpensive. And if they don't like what they get, we have a 100% refund policy. We no questions asked, 100%. And if we get 5 of those a year, I'd be amazed. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Ted, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey and your knowledge around this subject and providing so much value for my listeners. I had a blast having you on.
Okay, good. Let's talk again. Look forward to it.
This is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining the capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy according to the infinite banking concept. If you're interested to learn more about privatized banking and the infinite banking concept, you can access an exclusive webinar at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. Thank you for joining my guest, Ted Thomas, and myself on the Cashflow Ninja today. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. I'm always trying to learn and improve in every area of my life, so if there's any way that I can provide more value to you and serve you better, please reach out to me at info@cashflowninja.com. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gashku newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. That's 2 4s and 3 2s. You can also support the show by becoming a patron on Patreon for $10 a month. When you become a patron for 12 months, you get access to our private Facebook page and a Cashflow Ninja t-shirt. Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott have been in your shoes and have used real estate investing to become financially free. They've designed a system to take any beginner to an experienced deal-making investor in the least amount of time. They offer opportunities from basic education, coaching, bridge loan investing to turnkey investments in the cash-flowing market of St. Louis, Missouri. For more information, please visit joinupsproperties.com or call Jimmy and Bob at 314-799-2247. If you're not earning at least 8% on your cash, you do not want to miss the private lending presentation for non-accredited investors done by Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott. Discover how to create an income stream from real estate without the management headaches. You can access the presentation at cashflowninja.com/private lending. Creating passive income for you and your family is easier than you think. All you need are 3 things: the right plan, the right product, and the right turnkey provider. As an investor, you want a safe, profitable, and convenient way to invest your capital without being at the mercy of stock market fluctuation. Investing in real estate in a turnkey way that provides monthly passive income with very low risk is exactly what Spartan Invest provides for their clients. Their mission is to make investing in real estate easy for the busy professional. Spartan Invest help investors create passive income and wealth through turnkey ownership in Birmingham, Alabama. You can download your free report, 5 Big Reasons to Invest in the Magical City of Birmingham, Alabama, at cashflowninja.com/Spartan. The wealthiest families on the planet know how to capture their wealth and then leveraging their wealth through their own banking system. If you're interested in privatized banking and the infinite banking concept and learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms.
You have been listening to the Cashflow Ninja with your host, MC Laubscher, the podcast empowering and inspiring people to discover how to generate their own income and manage, grow, and protect their own wealth in the new economy. Today's show notes and resources are available on our website, cashflowninja.com. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objective, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.